Good morning, everyone. So we've been dealing with the concept of the slaughtering of the evil inclination. Maybe I'm going to add to this the following mnemonic. We should be discussing what is the concept of shechita. Shechita is a satan which will take place in the coming of Mashiach. So I want to express a beautiful interpretation of cantillation signs in the Chumash. There's one cantillation sign, the way in which the words are read, which only occurs 4 times. You might think that it's all a question of arbitrariness. But we know the cantillation signs, they are musical, grammatical, and a dramatic accompaniment to the words of the Chumash. Musical, see, there are a few different ways of singing them, but this cantillation sign, which goes only 4 times, is called shalshelet. It's a chain, and it goes up and down, and even that is an illustration. It goes only 4 times. It's musical. It's very grammatical because it puts a specific emphasis on this word. It has to be understood as a type of exclamation, not just an ordinary episode. And it's also dramatic because the up and down is a zigzag. It's a zigzag which represents a struggle, and it occurs 4 times. The first time it occurs is when, in the passage concerning Sodom and Gomorrah, so the angels came to give a warning that Sodom and Gomorrah would be burnt up. And they came to save Lot. And they said to Lot, go and join us. So Lot's wife was ready to join him. But we know she looked backwards, she became a pillar of salt. So just, I remember on my first visit to Sodom and Gomorrah, when I was a youngster, going back many years. So on the journey, I was going with a group, we met some tourists who were Mormons. They believed in polygamy. And so when we were visiting, they said, well, there are a few pillars here which are identified with the wife of Lot. So therefore it proves that polygamy was practiced in those times. But in any case, so Lot's wife went with him. And he was able to get his daughters also to go with him. But his sons-in-law wouldn't come. So when it says that Lot, after all, he'd become also the mayor of the city of Sodom, then we won't go into all the details of what happened when the angels came, and he showed them hospitality. So it says, when the angels told him, come on, let's escape, got to escape from here before it all burns up. So then we have the word, Vayismamo hesitated, but they pulled him. They pulled him away. Bechzikon Hashem said that the angels grasped hold of his hand, hands of his wife, and the daughters, and they escaped. And everyone else was burnt up. So that's the first time this word has such, the word in the Chumash has such a cantillation sign. And I'll tell you also that the cantillation signs, I have been in the past to some Yemenite synagogues where they don't only say the cantillation also in their particular manner, but they're also accompanied with hand signs. So it goes up and down, up and down. Of course, sometimes also, this is the way a person who's checking on the Baal Koire and wants to help him along also makes certain hand signs, makes it easier. So it's also dramatic. The second time it occurs is when Eliezer was sent to find a wife for Yitzchak. We know that Eliezer found this very difficult. After all, Eliezer had become a proselyte and entered the home of Avraham Avinu to be a servant and to learn from him all the ways of the Torah. And he had a daughter also, who was raised in the home of Avraham Avinu. And she had faith in the God of Avraham Avinu. And here, Avraham, in fact, he made him take an oath. We can understand why he made him take an oath. He said to him, you know, you've got to try and find a wife, not from the Canaanites, and also I'm excluding your daughter, also not. You've got to find a wife, go to my family. Why? Because in my family there is this streak of chesed, of loving kindness. Even if they're idolaters, they didn't agree to accept the faith of the one God, and they serve idols, but still they have this quality of hospitality and loving kindness. And this is so important to be adopted in our family. And Avraham felt that if he can get a girl from there for his son Yitzchak, even though she may have been already contaminated in part with idolatrous ideas, which she did not have as yet proper belief in Hashem, but that can be changed. But the innate quality of loving kindness, unfortunately, it goes in the genes if it's missing. And of course it goes in the genes if it's there. So therefore, there's every chance that she will be the best mother of the people of Hashem, especially if she's younger and she's willing to accept the faith. And I want to say this is confirmed today, constantly. People who love loving kindness, they go on the path of Hashem even if they're atheists, because they haven't been taught about Hashem. Today, not so much idolatry around, not anyone is being influenced by Western civilization, but there's plenty of agnosticism. Where people pursue loving kindness, it's easy for them to learn to accept the whole Torah. And if they don't have that quality. It's a quality of cruelty and self-centeredness which doesn't think about other people. It's much more difficult. So therefore, there it says, when he came to Haran to find there the right girl, so he prayed to Hashem, please, make it easy for me. Make sure I find a girl who shows enormous loving kindness. And maybe she's the one who belonged to that family which Avraham wanted me to go on this long journey. And if that's what happened, it's described. So then it says, she said this prayer, that Hashem should make it not too difficult, because otherwise he'll constantly inside, subconsciously, elicative, the sages say. surely my daughter is a better choice than any of these girls here. If unless I find such a unique loving kindness, and that was presented to him. That's what he said in his prayer. The Vayomar, it was a struggle. That Vayomar, Vayomer exists hundreds of times in the Chumash. Nowhere do we find Vayomar with a Shalshelet, except in this instance. So Vayomer goes up and down the same way as Beit Mamar. Because the prayer was a prayer of an innate struggle. That's the second time. The third time we find it when Yosef, who was a young, very energetic, most handsome boy, when he was sold as a slave to Egypt. And in the house of Potiphar, he was such a bright youngster, he was able to take over the whole household. And Potiphar, the minister of Pharaoh, found him to be such a reliable and such a bright person who could help in so many different ways. Made him minister in his home. And the wife of his master, she saw he's very handsome. She tried to seduce him in every way possible. But there's no one around, so she made, even you might say, a most aggressive effort to get him to lie with her. So then it says, Vayemo'ein, he refused. He said no. And then he fled. And that Vayemo'ein is also a struggle, in a struggle. So the sages described the struggle, thought of it. After all, he'd gone through terrible difficulties, and his mind, nevertheless, he still thought back to the home of his father, and his father had taught him to remain moral and to not sin against man, not sin against Hashem. Vayemo'ein, the struggle. And he was able to conquer his evil inclination. Then the fourth time this occurs is at the dedication of the sanctuary, where offerings were brought by Aaron HaKohen, by the high priest, in the time of the consecration. So it says, Vayishchot, when he slaughtered the animal that was brought to the sanctuary to represent the way in which Am Yisrael gives over its animal instincts to Hashem, but that's the concept of the offering, and the one who brings the offering puts his hands on the offering to say, you know, I also have an animal soul, and I'm slaughtering the animal soul. I'm slaughtering it not to destroy it entirely, but to make sure that the meat which is eaten, or the meat which is on the altar, is all used for the service of Hashem. But to transform the Yetzer Hara, which is also the Soton, and to become a complete servant of Hashem, we need to be in control. It's not so simple. Vayishchot, but when you follow the way of sanctity, go to the sanctuary to slaughter. So I think this is an illustration of what Rav Dessler described. That there is the person, in order, this, by the way, this is from my great-grandfather, who brings this in his papers from the Chumash. So I think it's a deep concept. In other words, in life, we are in constant situation of choosing between vice and virtue. And we have constant temptations. And so far we've spoken about the way in which you've got to make sure that to keep the power of evil, of materialism, not allow it to interfere with your personal Gan Eden. As we say, the sin crouches at the door. And he said, in the future Hashem will do shchita of this time. But the truth is, it applies in the present also. In the present, each of us were given a Yetzer Hara. We're all given enticements, we're given inner animalistic desires and instincts, We can sometimes suppress them, and some people think the only way to suppress them is to try to be like an angel and fast and not get married, but we know it's not successful. But there are religions that believe in this. The Torah says, no, that's not the way. You find, if you try to go, that's what happens, you try to go to the extreme and remain unmarried all your life, it'll come out in other ways. Because the animistic instinct is there. You think you can just knock it off? You can't. You've got to channel it and not cause it to disappear, because you've still got animistic power. So that is why amongst the monks and so on, often happens, even to the extent we've got even not far from here, the Trappist monastery. Not only do they not get married, not only do they not believe in gaining possessions, they do a lot of, also they fast a great deal, but also they hardly speak. They can speak in prayers, all sorts of castigations. The way of the Torah is different. We know the Torah says, you know about the Nazirite and other situations, everything in measure. And even if you want to improve yourself, so you have to limit it sometimes to go in the direction to control, in order to channel, and to even sublimate the more materialistic instincts to become tools in the service of Hashem. So we have here a case, this is very, how do you do it? So it's a struggle. Life is a struggle. But the struggle comes, if like this, it's very interesting. Sefer Bereshit is a series of episodes, first of the Noachites, and then of the family of Avraham Avinu, until we became a nation. But there's a great deal to learn on how to keep away from vice and develop virtue, what's called the Derech Eretz principle. And then, when the nation was established, and began to become established, came all the mitzvot. The height of the mitzvot, which mentioned Shemot, and also Vayikra, is not just to fulfill mitzvot in the ordinary way, but to reach, to become a holy nation. Amongst the holy nation, there are some whose divine service in the sanctuary represent the path through all the mitzvot of the Torah to holiness, the highest level. So therefore, like this, the first stages in the struggle for life, if you've got here a conflict, and you feel the conflict, the struggle between good and evil within yourself, with Yetzirah and Yetzirah Tov, first thing is, hesitate. Don't give in right away. But generally speaking, the conscience of the human being knows at the beginning, this is what I'm going to do, something wrong, but you feel the struggle is too difficult. At the beginning, when the stimulus comes, you become blind to everything else. You've got a craving for something which you know is wrong, whether it's stealing somebody else's possessions, or whether it's in anger to go and hit someone or kill him. If you're going to react immediately to that situation, it's dangerous. Learn to count from 20 to 100. Hesitate. Wait. Give yourself time to cool down. Yes. Similarly with the sexual temptation. Again, it comes. It's very difficult. You become blinded to everything else. And the conscience also begins to disappear. At the first moment, give yourself time, eat mama. The second stage is, since you've got time, and you believe in, you know there is God in the world, and God is the one who judges you for good or for evil, then pray to God that He should help you to overcome your struggle. That's the prayer of Eliezer. Don't become an individual who does not do his duty. He had to fulfill the duty to Abraham, instead of fulfilling his own inner ideas, which were to my daughter much better. Similarly, everybody, once he starts realizing there's something, a choice here, which has to choose, Gan Eden instead of Gehinnom, virtue instead of vice, so he prays to Hashem, help me, and prayer helps. But then you've got to reach the stage when it becomes very strong, the instinct to do something wrong, then you've got to exercise the power of saying no, the power of Gevura, and say, I'm not giving in under any circumstances. I've got to strengthen it. In fact, the famous one, the phrase I once said from one of the non-Jewish greatest men of literature used to say, temptation is given to man to say no. In fact, it's reflected also in what we say every morning, Umotar Adam Midavem Ayin. What is the advantage of man over beast? A beast can't say no to his instincts. The lion's got an instinct to tear his prey and then eat it up. And the snake's got an instinct to put poison in you. As all the animals have an instinct, when they're hungry, they'll go and eat whatever they find. So this is, each one's got its instincts. Animals can't say no, but the human being can say no when he sees the instincts for vice. And that have by more aid, he says no. So they're able thereby to stop giving in to the evil inclination, to the Satan. But you haven't slaughtered the Satan yet. You're going to slaughter the Satan. To dedicate Satan, the Yetzirah, entirely to Hashem, to a shechita of the animal within man, which is the idea behind animal offerings. That lies behind this whole idea, which comes into our tefillah as well. We have korbanot. The animals are used partly to be eaten by the Kohanim, partly to be eaten by the people who bring it, whoever it is, from Am Yisrael, even from the non-Jews, and partly to be eaten up by the altar. I mean, it's a way of expressing the way in which we have to dedicate the animalistic instincts to Hashem. So I'm going to do this together. Now we can understand it more easily. This last paragraph on this page in the Musa of Rav Dessler. So v'inyan shchitas hayetzara pirusha shenase kasher al yidei zeh. Shchita of an animal, by shchita you make it kasher. It becomes perfectly in order. Kasher is like yashar even. It's made in order. That means that the evil is transformed into good, the vice into virtue, and it reaches its ultimate purpose, and its purpose in life, its act of a message from Hashem which has to fulfill, has become fulfilled. Kimetchila ad hasof. Because we say the Satan, which is the obstacle in the world for all mankind, is the obstacle for every person in the world. The obstacle developing is divine image, but it's Hashem Shamayim is covered. The Gemara uses the phrase, don't think that the Malach HaMavet and the Satan, which are made equivalent to the Yetzirah, that they have an evil intention. They all have a good intention for the sake of heaven, because thereby the human being grows. The group grows by overcoming temptation. So Be'ush HaTachlit, HaHestehi, why is there hiddenness in the world, hiddenness of Hashem? Why are there obstacles to recognizing the power of Hashem in the world, and also the power of Hashem over us as individuals? The hiddenness is to reveal the glory of the heavens through the saints who are victorious over the power of evil. And this shechita is part of its message, to make known shehester uchelek ma'gilui. The hiddenness of Hashem is a part of His ultimate revelation. The fact that Hashem creates obstacles is to reveal His power. And this goes very far. It's even the tzaddikim used it in a fantastic manner. In other words, the great saints were survivors of the Holocaust. That's how they looked at the Holocaust. They regarded it as the enormous hiddeness of Hashem, such as has not existed at any time in human history. It's reached the most terrible levels. But its purpose is to reveal the glory of Hashem. And they learned from the Hester to dedicate themselves, body and soul, to overcome the hiddenness. And in fact, they produced it. I mean, there's a this is the ultimate shechita that Satan will come about with the coming of the Mashiach. And then it says we will realize, we realize it's like a dream. All the things we thought were for evil have produced goodness. So, you know, it's in the life of the individual also. We don't regard the life of the individual as ending with death, but Malach HaMavet is also part of the hiddenness of Hashem, because we think with death that's the end, but we know today it's become more revealed with many millions of records that death is the beginning of a new life, a different life for the soul. But this applies to all areas of vice and death and all the obstacles of the world being ways of increasing the revelation of Hashem. Odechaki anitani, we say. I thank you, Hashem, because you have afflicted me. We go back to Egypt. That was the first lesson. We went through all the sufferings of Egypt. Without that, we would probably be like the other nations. But Hashem says in the Chumash, 49 times he mentions it, in one way or another, that you were strangers in the land of Egypt, and that's why you were given a training in feeling what it's like to be oppressed, to be deprived of everything of this world. Because you have to be the nation that helps other people, that expresses loving kindness non-stop, and works against cruelty, against selfish people who put themselves up as powers in order to exploit those who don't have power and to afflict them. So we have to, like Hashem, I'm always with you in trouble. The people of Israel always have to be with those who are in trouble and to help them. We see today this, objectively speaking, let's hope it continues. Let's say the qualities of helping others, which are developed in Israel, are on a very high level. And some people go further than the Torah allows us to go. And they say, what do you mean? Well, those poor suicide bombers. No, that's what some people look like that. They're suffering, you know. You see that they're not as successful as the people in Israel, for whatever reason, and their religion tells them that they are really the best religion. Therefore they think they were going to kill innocent other people. And you find Jews sympathizing with those who are so cruel, even to their fellow Muslims. They don't care if 250,000 of them get gashed, and they go on with similar methods day by day. So this is to be Jews, we know there's a limit how we have to treat people who, whatever background they have, but they are spreading criminal and most corrupt and evil practices to destroy the divine image of the human being. So we've got to work against them. But the main way to work against this, we don't give up chesed. It's almost unbelievable the extent to which, on the whole, in Israel, they will go and send lifesavers to every situation of crisis in the world. They send teams of doctors and others to help them to save lives. And in the hospitals built by Jews, built by Israel, they care even for the families of suicide bombers and others, and they look after them, they heal them. So we keep on with chesed under most difficult circumstances. And I would say that even if one makes a statistic, thousands of Jewish lives have been lost because what's called Tarat HaNeshech, to make sure that we only use weapons which are clearly a case of self-defense. Whether it's doubtful, perhaps self-defense, perhaps not. You have these long-standing court cases which make it very difficult for some people. They go a bit far when a soldier who's surrounded by many who are carrying explosives with them, and he's going to be court-martialed if he shoots a bullet at someone when it would appear but not 100% necessary, although there was a clear possibility of this soldier being killed himself. Have you got any questions on this or comments?
Can you clarify what does it mean to when we daven that we can slaughter our Yetzer Hara? Can you clarify that exactly for those of us that have Yetzer Hara, we're not aware how to overcome it? How do we daven appropriately to Hashem that we should do that?
Well, we say in the morning. We take the prayer in the morning against the Yetzer Hara. We say, "V'chof et yitzreinu le'shtabelo." Please bend over our evil inclination to serve you. Don't bring me to tests. And strengthen Dabkeinu, cause me to cling to the good inclination. Dabkeinu v'yetzer tov, of ma'asim tovim. Let me cling inside to my conscience, to my good inclination. And how do I cling to it? By many good deeds. Let me only do good deeds, ma'asim tovim. And let me keep away from me all evil company. Let me try to be a good company. And that way a person can remove the power of evil from his life. Say those prayers with dedication. Even further, before the Shema, we go even further. We say, it's more on a positive level. But v'yachid levavenu, unite our heart to love and stand in awe in front of you, means let it be filled with the power of love, so that even when it unite our heart, the double heart, which is the Yetzer Hara, should unite with the Yetzer Hara Tov. The power of love, all our energies, which are triggered off by even sometimes by our inner instincts. So let us use all that energy, which if you go into it deeply, maybe has its root in animal power, which comes through food and even through sexual urge. But let us transform it to be unified, to have love of you. And love of Hashem is love also of human beings. Love of Yerushalayim.
Well, you mentioned right at the beginning of your answer to Yerachmiel, God, please take away tests. I thought tests were important. Why should we pray to God to take away tests?
Well, it says, actually the words which you use, don't bring me, I'll get, we say, lo lidei nisayon, lo lidei nisayon. Don't bring me to the hands of the test. means like this. Actually, I'll answer the question more directly with a saying of the Bali Musa on this. They say a person in his life has got to be the laharchik, say, he's got to laharchik min al-nishayon. He's got to keep away from tests. That means he shouldn't be given, pray to Hashem, don't give me a test where I'm likely to fail. He's got to raise up his yera, lakbiya et hayera, ulachik min al-nishayon. In other words, in life, we're given tests all the time. Every minute is a test, to some extent, between, and we're going to choose the good or the evil. If a person, however, is given too many tests for himself, then he's more likely to fail. And although it says, Ein Adam omed b'divrei Torah elam nichshu b'hem, a person sometimes only becomes firm in something if he has fallen, if he stumbled. But only if he stumbles, he can get up again. But if he stumbles and keeps on stumbling, he goes down further and further. So therefore, he's got to be la'achik min nisayon or l'hakti l'tayira. Keep away from tests, but increase your level of awe in front of Hashem. In other words, a person wants to grow. It's like, this applies, let's say, to a person who wants to take tests in his ability for high jumps. So if he sees he fails too often, he doesn't, if the person who's testing him says, well, you're always failing, then he'll go into despair and he'll say, well, I'll have to give up becoming a high jumper. I can't enter into any of the championships. Finish for me. Because the way to become a champion is to be given tests, but the person who's given the test really wants to create the spirit of further adventure and further efforts to reach the championship. He will refrain from giving the tests that are too difficult. I mean, let's say very many people who become good swimmers, and many people become very bad swimmers. It depends a lot on the way in which they're tested. If you take a youngster and you tell him, you know, here you are, I'll show you the strokes you've got to make outside, and now go and do them in the water, and he puts them in at the deep end. Yeah? Then he's got to rescue him. And it happens again and again, he won't succeed. The fellow will say, well, look, I'm not going for swimming. I will never become a swimmer, so the child will say, I won't do it. But the clever one is training people to swim. He's got to judge the person, judge the boy. And first he's got to put him at the narrow end and teach him the narrow how to do the strokes. First he'll have to hold him. Then after a few lessons, he should do it at the narrow end by himself, bit by bit. When he does it well, he gradually takes him to a deeper level, the swimming pool, until he can do it at the deep end. Then he can dive at the deep end. So you've got to do step by step. This is the way a person can grow. So therefore, we say in the morning, don't bring me to a nisayon that is above my level. But a person's got to be, if he's not having any, he doesn't see any tests in his life, then he begins to say, I'm fine, I'm a good Jew, I'm a good person in the yeshiva, I'm a good teacher, I'm a good Rosh Yeshiva. That's what he thinks. I'm doing my duty. Once you say that, you become complacent, you go down. Think. What about sport is like that? Sportsman doesn't keep on taking exercises, deteriorates. in everything in life, if you want to grow, you've got to recognize that there's always a higher level to reach. And if you think there's nothing more for me to do in life, then you go down until you become like a vegetable, one stage or another. The next page, which I've given you here, I just want to introduce it now. This is a deep aspect of this concept, and the reason why I thought first I thought I can't do it with this group, but then I found to my pleasure. The next exposition of Rav Dessler, even it says in the heading, we're dealing with deeper aspects of the Agadot of the sages, to understand at a deeper level. Now that's what this is all about. So I try to see the enormous depth which is contained in the moral teachings of the Agadah. So the next page, in fact, deals with angels. But it deals with the angels which appeared, or the angel which appeared in the life of Yaakov Avinu, mentioned the Chumash. And so the Midrash speaks about this, what it signifies, connected with other Agadot in the Gemara. And we've got here, because you're not supposed to make photocopies of Art Scroll, so I've got here the Art Scroll exposition of the battle between Yaakov and the prince of Esau. On that battle, because it's quite significant, that struggle is very deep. It's not, you can't, you're going to say, the Torah doesn't contain any mysticism. Well, if that struggle is not mysticism, what does it call mysticism? It's a mystic struggle. You've got to understand, what does it mean? And the name of Israel, it came from that. The first time was given the name Israel. People today, they know what Israel means. So I thought that it would be good to really understand more deeply what's the significance of the name Israel. Shema Yisrael, what is it? What's Yisrael mean? And Yisrael is based upon the struggle between Yaakov and the prince of Esau. What does that mean? So we've got the exposition of Art Scroll, and I recommend you should read it. You should read, but they give very good commentaries, including also briefly the commentary of Rav Dessler, which is the next page. But before we do it inside, I want to do just a passage of the Chumash here, which you don't take hold of, which you find in chapter 32. The last part of chapter 32 speaks about the struggle between Yaakov, not and Esau himself, but the prince of Esau, the angel of Esau. What's that mean? Who's the angel of Esau? Who are the angels altogether? So you have to try to understand what it means. So that's, if you will read it before, you will understand this much better. So I leave this for you for the next year, and then we'll expound it more deeply from the actual words of Rav Dessler.